Our last caller here,
Hello.
is going by Anonymous, calling all the way from the UK.
Anonymous? Oh, it's Mark. My name's Mark.
Okay, it's just an anonymous. So I was trying to be respectful of that, but okay. So, Mark, how you doing?
Okay.
It says that you're a paranormal investigator.
I am, yes. I'm with I started a group called Haunted the Truth, and I am a skeptic. I like to think I'm a semi-skeptic.
What is
And
that? What is a semi-skeptic?
basically, a semi-skeptic means that I'm open. I don't know, is that what a skeptic believes in? Are you still open? I don't know. I'm open to ideas of things and looking into potential evidence.
Well, I believe it was Hume who said that a wise man proportions his belief to the evidence. So that when I'm thinking about what it means to be a skeptic, that's what it means from my perspective.
Okay.
If you were to look at like
Okay.
what scientific skepticism is as a discipline, it really is just that. It's proportioning belief to evidence. So nothing is off the table. We just have to have evidence.
Okay. So, yeah, I started off my little show, Haunted the Truth, and the concept for it was meant to be the debunking show, going to locations, hearing what people have to say, and then coming up with reasonable things like, you know, this is the wind, this is just an old house, creaky things. These orbs aren't orbs, it's actually dust caused by, you know, particles passing on the camera, etc. But, and I've got a list here for you, so you don't have to get a full-blown story off of me. These are a few things, and I've called in before about a couple of things on this show, and I thought I'd put it into a list for you. So these are some things which have just got me into a little sort of a bit of a state of just not knowing anymore.
Okay.
Number one, I've been in locations where stones have been thrown from areas where there are no people, and yes, I checked. One stone I've actually caught on camera coming up from the floor into the air, so physically on the floor into the air. Number two, toys coming from a bedroom at force through the air up to 15 feet, caught on camera. Number three, something running on a bridge on multiple occasions, heard by multiple people on different occasions, caught on camera, and on one instance, as my friend turns around to see, you know, expecting to see someone running at him, this sort of shadow just darts off, and I've come to the conclusion it is not wind, earthquakes, tremors, or somebody just there physically moving it. And now I'm at a position of sort of going, well, what is this? I've got all the footage to back up what I'm saying, so this isn't just rambling of a madman.
Okay, so we've got footage of stuff that you don't have an explanation for.
No, obviously I'm not going to turn around and sit and say, oh, it's a ghost, because I can't just jump to that conclusion. But at the same time, I'm not going to say that it isn't something unusual, because that is unusual. I mean, even for yourself, if you're sat down now in your home and that like a coffee mug or something there suddenly flies towards you and it hits you in the head, you're going to go, well, that was unusual.
I would. I'd be freaked out.
Do you have any ideas of, you know, of what it might be? Like, let's say, you know, I don't have the footage that you're talking about, so I'm just taking your word that there is indeed footage of this stuff that you can explain. Let's say that is true. Are you coming to any sort of conclusions? Do you have any ideas of what it might be?
Do you know what? I've tried to come up with certain theories and stuff, but normally the theories I come up with are just as crazy as saying it's ghosts. So I started looking into dimensions and like, is it possible that, you know, there's multiverses and there's a crossover of something from another universe coming into our dimension, something like in a different dimensional space coming into our space. And then that's when you start going down the sci-fi sort of routes. And it's, you know, sometimes I watch things like Brian Cox and I take something from it and then I turn it into something a bit outlandish, because I think I'm just sort of picking the air at things now to try and figure out, right, what on earth is this that I've just witnessed?
I wonder, have you ever?
I was just wondering what you sorry, go on.
The thing that comes to mind. So it's interesting with like ghost hunting stuff, or investigations into the paranormal. People who do this tend to be. I'm not saying this is necessarily true about you. But tend to be very focused on sort of making an attempt to rule out natural explanations. Like you said, you've ruled out wind, you've ruled out earthquakes, you've ruled things out.
Yeah. If you were to watch you obviously don't have to. I'm not on here to completely tell everybody to watch everything. But my early work, I go to places, and whenever something happens, I'm always there going, that's the wind, that's a fox, that's a frog. I've been to a lot of paranormal events where people have run them, and they hate me because I'm constantly there going, no, there's nothing there, there's nothing this, there's nothing that. So I've always taken that stance. It's only when something happens on an extreme, such as, a stone hitting me in the forehead.
Have you ever heard of Doyle's fallacy?
Sorry, what is it?
Doyle's fallacy?
No, not yet.
So it's something that I've found to be extremely useful. And it's the term was coined by, again, shout out to Matt Dillahunty. So you may have I don't want to make assumptions because you're from the UK that you've necessarily heard of Sherlock Holmes, but so Sir Arthur Conan Doyle wrote the books, the stories about Sherlock Holmes, right? And the general idea is that Holmes is the world's greatest detective, and that what he's able to do is rule out all the possible outcomes or all the possible causes of whatever the thing in question is, and that by ruling out things, that whatever's left standing, no matter how improbable it may be, that is the truth, right? The problem with this,
yes, I have heard of this. I just forgot the name of it.
Yeah. So the problem is that we can never know that we've ruled out all the possible candidate explanations for something. So the instant that we go, oh, we've got everything ruled out, so therefore it must be this. We have now stepped in a big trap cognitively. And it sounds like you're not.
I can tell you that I'm ruling out everything based on my understanding of what I know. I'm not Professor Brian Cox, or I don't know everything, so I can only rule out as much as what I physically understand.
Sure. And so what happens when you've ruled out everything that you physically understand? Then what?
Normally I get my footage onto my computer, and one of my friends is I don't want to mention him by name because he doesn't want to be referenced. He's a computational chemist, and he knows some friends who are physicists, and they've looked at it. One of the clips they looked at was a few things moving and stuff like that, and they said that it is very unusual. He spoke about, because I've mentioned, there's a high amount of electrical magnetic static being built up in certain locations, and he's mentioned, that there's potential buildup of static. In theory, once released, the static discharge could send objects flying. But then you're left with the question of, well, what's caused that energy to do that?
Well, so that's only one candidate explanation. How do we even know that guy's right? Well,
it's all theories, isn't it? It's all theories and hypothesis.
I'm glad you backed off of theories and went to hypothesis.
Yeah,
because for a theory has to be substantiated by something, whereas a hypothesis doesn't necessarily. A hypothesis is just like what if it's that? So that's what I'm wondering.
Every theory starts off as hypothesis.
Right. So what I'm wondering is, so say we get all the physicists and all the chemists, and layman and everybody takes a look at something and we've exhausted candidate explanations and nobody knows what the hell they're looking at. Then what?
That's such a difficult one. I mean, unless something physically forms and says, "Hi, I'm a ghost. I'm Jeff. I died on this bridge in 1904," and then you can't say it's a ghost. You need. I mean, at the end of the day,
I don't know.
They didn't stop looking what a black hole. They went, "Oh, there's a black hole. There might be a black hole. Let's have a look at the evidence of the black hole. Oh, look, we found a black hole."
Right.
So eventually, you do find answers. It's just a question of when and where. And I can understand why people have paranormal claims and why they contributed to it being spirits and ghosts, especially after seeing, odd shadows darting off on camera and stuff like that. And,
sure.
Running. I mean, physical, like running along a bridge. I was like, what? I mean, when it first happened to me, especially being skeptical and being so dead on, there's nothing here, go on, there's a load of old cobblers. And then I'm stood at the end of this bridge and then I hear bonk, 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 bonk down the path. My first thought was, oh my God, there's a nutter in the woods at 3 a.m. I'm going to die. And I legged it. All my equipment was there, my expensive cameras. We went back, no one there. And it's happened on multiple occasions to multiple people. Some people I've not even mentioned it to, and it's just happened to them. So I'm like, well, what the hell is that? What is that?
I don't know.
Yeah,
And
go ahead.
Yeah, go on.
No, I was just saying, you'd said that if we had gotten every physicist and every great scientific thinker in on this to see what's going on, and nobody has a conclusion yet, and we asked what you're left with, and you said, "Gosh, I don't know. That's tough." That's exactly what we're left with. I don't know. We can't start asserting things without evidence just because we believe we've eliminated all of the possibilities. So yes, for me to believe that it's a ghost.
It's a scientific field which is actually looking into it, like what these claims, other than people that just believe anything and everything's paranormal, but the actual stuff that I'm witnessing, I hope some scientist out there is really diving into this. I don't know if parapsychologists come under that sort of area because they're kind of skeptical, but they look into things. I'm not too sure.
Well, I just want with parapsychologists, that's a whole different rabbit track we don't have time to go down. But Skye, as they call it, I mean, there's no reason to think that exists. So as far as I can tell, parapsychology is completely pseudoscientific nonsense. But there's a quote that comes to mind. I don't know if you've heard of Richard Feynman. He's a physicist. Said that when we're asking questions about the nature of reality, that the first principle is that you mustn't fool yourself, and you're supposed to remember that you're the easiest person to fool. So I just try to keep that in the back pocket.
That is completely understandable, because when things do happen, even with the most rational mindset, the most rational person, even yourself then said if that cup flew at you, you'd freak out. Your brain starts to lose itself, and then everything becomes paranormal. It becomes that little bump is now paranormal, and you're there going, oh my God. Now it makes for a great video because people are sat there laughing, but it's not necessarily everything thereon after is paranormal.
I think that's a perfect place to put a little bow on this show before Ethan comes on and yells at me for going long. So Mark, thank you for calling in. I'm going to check it out. So you said it's Haunted the Truth is your channel?
hauntedthetruth.co.uk, and then you can free will to look what you want, particularly look at Snuff Mills and the Poltergeist House. So those are the ones where things of everything else, I'm just, just for the viewers, I'm going, oh, that could be something, because otherwise it'd be a boring video.
I gotcha. I will check it out. And as an American, whenever I hear someone on a camera speaking in a British accent, it's like everybody's Richard Attenborough to me. And I just, there's just this extra gravity to whatever.
Here we have the ghosts.
Precisely that. Thanks, Mark. Have a good night.